Hey guys, what's going on?
How's it going? Can you guys hear me?
I hear you just fine.
Awesome.
Welcome in, welcome in. We'll go ahead and get started here in a couple of minutes. Give everybody an opportunity to hop in. How you guys doing today?
I'm doing great.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
good. That's what I love to hear. Hopefully, you guys are gonna leave here with some valuable insight. One of the things that I know is on a lot of people's minds is how to get people who actually want to buy shit these days. Um, so we'll definitely run the gamut on that. All right, a couple more people hopping in. Dalton coming. What's going on, Dalton? How are you?
What is up, my man? How are you?
Doing well, my friend. Always a pleasure. More people hopping in. So let me ask you guys this while it's a little bit more intimate. What type of stuff is exciting you the most? Like, what do you want to cover on this call out of all the things that I've mentioned so far?
Well, for me personally, this is actually my first time attending the call, so I'm excited to kind of get to hear everything for my personal experience first time. Through I got invited through Jared, so
Yeah.
looking forward to hearing everything through his perspective. He shared a lot so far, and so I know he's been talking pretty highly about you.
Well, that is great to hear. So thank you for joining, Thomas. I know that a first impression makes a world of difference. Liam, I know that you've been around for a while. Dalton, I know you've been around for a while. You guys want to perhaps give a little perspective or what to expect to Thomas before we get started. I'll probably give people another 2, 3 minutes to hop in. So if you guys want to do that real quick, by all means, be my guest.
Okay. I'm here just because I'm really excited to learn as much as I can. Like I'm really excited about that. I'm about to start college and I'm getting a degree in marketing and things like that. So I'm very excited to just learn and so I can start whatever.
Awesome. Well, I love to hear that. Dalton, what about you?
Yeah, dude, I actually took a big leap, bro. Just informed the full time job that I'm not going to go full time anymore. Going to jump into the agency space a lot, harder here coming up. So, dude, I see your results around like your email marketing a lot. So, dude, just a kind of a glimpse into like kind of like how you do your emails is what I've been most excited to learn from you about.
Okay, awesome. I mean, these are all definitely things that we'll cover. The email in particular is a really big component to establishing and developing trust with any customer base or any group of people for that matter. You don't have to sell someone. The relationship you have with them is worth something, if not money. So bearing that in mind, hopefully there's going to be a lot of positive takeaways for you, Dalton. What made you want to take that leap?
Sorry, trying to get this off my computer.
You're good.
No, dude, the leap was definitely just, I don't want to work for someone else my entire life and things like that. And I've gotten a lot of momentum here in the
Mhm.
past couple of weeks or so, signed on like 4 new people. And
Awesome.
so I know, dude, while it does not like fully cover my full-time job, I was like, you
Right.
know what, dude, like, fuck it. Like, I'm only 25 and young once. Why not just take the risk on myself now and see where it goes?
Hey man, that was kind of the position that I got put into. I've been working on my first agency through high school, and come college, I was working on that. I wasn't really going to my classes whenever I was in college, and instead, I was working as a business-to-business sales manager at AT&T, doing the business accounts. And what effectively I worked there to do was find clients while I'm getting paid to sell shit that is already bought. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's a super smart thing to do. I've been there. I think a lot of people have been there. But I think what ended up happening my freshman year of college, my parents were going to do like a final vacation between them and me and my brother because he was going to school in Kentucky, and they didn't see him coming back to Pennsylvania afterward. At the time, obviously, I was going to Pitt, and because it was local, I was staying close-ish to my parents, and not really changing my life very much. Uh, Bearing that in mind, one of the things that ended up happening was they wanted to do like a final family vacation, and we ended up going to Europe. And whenever I told them, "Hey, my family's taking us to Europe, I'm gonna need Christmas off," and they were like, "No, nobody gets off," and I was like, "Well, fuck you guys." I don't need to be here anyway. So lo and behold, that was how I kind of made the jump. And, everybody does it at some point. And it's oftentimes whenever you least expect it. So don't in any way, shape, or form feel like maybe there's not some sort of intention behind it that you're not already aware. Will, how's it going, brother? Happy to see you.
Hey, Stephen. Same here, man. Same here. It's good to see you.
Always a pleasure, my friend. Alrighty. Well, we are about 5 minutes deep, so I'm going to go ahead and kind of jump into it. This call afterward is going to be uploaded to the cloud, and I will load it into advertising for beginners for those of you that are in there. Dalton, I think you're in there. Liam, I think you're in there. Will, I think you're in there. I don't know if you are, but let me know after, and I can let you in for free. Right now, the price is set to $97 a month. So, I appreciate you for showing up. And of the 22 people that RSVP'd, the fact that we have 4 people really doesn't surprise me. So, I want to give you a little bit of extra value where I can. That being said, I'll kind of get into the thick of it. With anybody who's interested in marketing, you have to obviously understand where your consumer base is at, regardless of what industry you're in, right? That's a common first step to selling anything, is understand that there's a market for it, or at least whether or not there's a market for it, right? You have to make an educated guess. Bearing that in mind, consumer sentiment between businesses and consumers is at a 40-year low. We're in a bit of what's called a trust recession, where people are far more discerning with the limited resources they have, which means they are going to take more time to think about each purchasing decision. They're going to be more critical as far as what is a true need versus a want. And they're also going to want to know that who they're giving money to is worth forking it over. You know what I mean? So because of that, there are ways to still get a super low cost per lead while still getting a relatively inexpensive cost per booked call, cost per new customer, whatever you want to call it, right? Or whatever metric you want to boil it down to. As I'd said in a lot of my preliminary, I won't call it promo for this call because I don't really think it was too promotional, if you will. I talked about this being largely for service-based businesses, and like I had mentioned either yesterday or the day before or today at some point, a lot of this can apply if you want to sell products or services online. The real difference really boils down to the offer in particular. So the offer that I've been finding works incredibly well across the board. It doesn't matter if it's a service-based business. It doesn't matter if it's a product-based business. What matters is that you have customers that want something at X cost, right? Giveaways are huge right now, and they are proving to work really, really well. So for instance, my girlfriend, she owns a photography studio. She was doing anywhere from 15, 16K a month to doing 56 grand in January with a giveaway. A free giveaway. It's free to enter, but gets monetized on the back end. So what does that do, right? Her sessions, the things that she actually charges for normally, cost anywhere from 4 to 10 grand a piece, right? So what we do is we give away her best offer to a few lucky winners, right? All you have to do to enter is tell us a little bit about yourself, your contact information, so that we can contact you if you've won. What your drive and motivating factor is behind wanting to enter, which is also the reason that they would want to buy anyway. Then the question just becomes, are they financially qualified or are they? Does this all make sense so far? Awesome. I appreciate y'all for following along. Will, obviously, I know you don't have your camera on, but if you have a thumbs up or something, just let me know you're following. Awesome. Perfect. So taking that into consideration, it's very, very simple. You amass a ton of leads. You put them through a qualification quiz, and you can do this again for service-based businesses or product-based businesses, right? Why do you want to win? Why should you win? Tell me what your needs are. Tell me what your wants are, and explain to me, if you were to have to pay for it, what would you pay for, right? That is the big key indicator here, right? Because then they're telling you what they're financially qualified for in a capacity. It doesn't guarantee that it's going to happen, but at least it makes it far more likely, right? That's the core and most important part. The second most important piece of this is you have time with the follow-up. And actually, the longer you wait to follow up with email automations, because I know that was a big focus. And secondly, in creating that nurture and making sure that they feel valued, making sure they feel respected as a customer, even without transacting with you in the past, that is where the money's made. Okay. So what we do is we wait, 1 to 2 days, and then at least a day and a half. So I think our minimum's like 30 hours. Some people like to do it 30 hours in the automation. Some people like to do it 2-3 days later, right? Anywhere in that sweet spot's good for 2 reasons. One, it is still top of mind enough that they had entered, right? So they remember entering. They remember it's a high value thing. They know that they're going to have to wait for a reply, right? Of all of those things, what it really allows us to do is build suspense, which we know is a huge component to retaining interest and getting interest when people are excited about the outcome, right? So then it's a matter of booking the call. And then from there, it's a matter of seeing, okay, are you truly qualified or are you not? Now, I will go ahead and show you another photography studio that we're working with, Calendar, real quick. So that way you can truly see, what this can do for a business. And for instance, this one started in January of this year. She started January 1. I think we launched everything the 6th or 7th. And it was, I think, a total of 5 calls in the first month. And she had a couple closes for actual sessions. So this was, call it the first 30 days, right? This was the second 30 days. She had I think between January and February, she had a total of 47 calls. Okay. So just tons and tons and tons. And this is with a giveaway, mind you. And I'll show you guys the ad account too, so that you can understand truly how simple it is. And she had some closes as well. March, things obviously really picking up. I think she had a total of 43 booked calls so far in the month of March. There might be a couple more because I did the statistics for this yesterday. And then she had a total of 90 qualified leads in the first 3 months. So that puts us at a $40 cost per qualified lead. And even including our fee, it's $100 per booked call, meaning that like people that converted. Okay. So that's huge. Her April is already super packed with sessions. I don't know if there's a bunch in May. There's a bunch in June. There's a bunch in July. There's a bunch in August. So like the beautiful thing about this is if people can't pay, they do prepayment plans, right? So they don't get their session until they have paid in full, right? So this is a fantastic way to play the short-ish, more realistically, mid to long game, right? Because we've been working for this on 90 days. Now, given the people on payment plans are the ones that are in the diagonal line purple, the ones that have paid in full are the solid purple. Okay. There have been a total of $38,000 in profit generated in 90 days. So that is excluding our fee, that's taking into account our fee and ad spend, right? So she's left with $38,000 in pure profit from running a giveaway offer. Now, what I'll do is I'll show you guys her ad account just so that you can see firsthand what her leads are like. Let me pull it up here. Oh. There. Alrighty, so this is her ad account. You can see high performing. We have a handful of ad sets running right now. So far this month, she spent about $2,000 in leads and gotten 682. Crazy volume of leads. She's paying $3.13 per lead submitted. You look back to the beginning of the year, and she spent probably $5,000, not even $4,000, $3,800 and gotten 1,478. Right? It doesn't matter if you can pay an agency or not. If you can spend $4,000 on ads, you can quite literally flip a ton of money like crazy. And the beautiful thing is this is all local. It's all local business. If we look here at the geography, she lives in Texas. And if I'm not mistaken, there's not a lot by where she lives. So, we're just hitting the whole lower quarter of the state. And that's all we need to do. Targeting women, ages 24 to 65 plus. No crazy targeting, for lack of a better way to put it. And we've been running a lot of the same creatives the entire time. And this is likewise for a similar type of photography that my girlfriend does, doing for this photographer as well as 16 others, 17 others. So bearing that in mind, it's super simple. One piece of copy that we write tells you everything you get, has reviews, testimonials, and it's under the guise of apply now. The short form is very simple as well. Just let me try and get this Zoom thing out of the way. Contact info, privacy policy, and then finish the application. Then it goes to the landing page where they fill out the rest of the survey questionnaire, telling them why they want to do it, if there's anything about their personality or self-perception, if they have any insecurities, things like that. Because obviously, with photography like this, it can be a little bit more, personal, for lack of a better way to put it, or a little bit more intimate. So it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, you're going to have your creative showcasing your ideal end outcome, right? So that's going to be the end result that the people seeing the ad want. You're going to tell them how they can get it for free and everything that's going to come in it. And then they just apply. So say, for instance, you own a roofing company, right? We're giving one roof away to a lucky, Phoenix-based homeowner. All you have to do is enter your information, send us pictures of your roof, and tell us why you think you deserve to win. That'd be a really quick way to drum up an ass load of money. Same thing goes for a dry cleaner. Do you want to win a year of free dry cleaning? You know who that's going to appeal to? People who get their shit dry cleaned, which is going to be business professionals and individuals that, have delicate garments, right? Same thing goes for auto detailers. Win free details for a year, 6 months, whatever. You can make whatever you want. It's even a little value, a giant value, by extending the time horizon, by increasing the amount of servicing that they get. And at the end of the day, the things that everybody needs are going to be the things that are actually the hardest to convert on, because the price point is probably at a place that isn't high enough to consider it luxury. So then what you have to do is extend that time horizon. Does that make sense to everybody so far? I know I've covered a lot in just the last 5 minutes, but I just want to make sure everybody is following. Can I get a thumbs up? Can I get an audible yes? Something like that. Awesome. Alrighty. Let's see. Let's up that share real quick.
Hey, Stephen. Question.
Yes.
How do you get around the restriction by ad policies for giveaways? I think certain words or keywords you can't use. So let's just say if I was gonna say win it's free clothing worth $500. So is there some kind of restrictions around saying these kinds of things?
So what you're talking about is the differentiation between what's called real money gambling and a giveaway. A true giveaway costs nothing to enter on the front end, right? Whenever you're talking about I'm sure you've probably seen some of the ads surrounding hey, we're giving away a car. All you have to do is buy clothes to get entered or some shit like that, right? That is what's called real money gambling, because there is a cost to entry. You are paying money, a resource, something, fiat currency, whatever, for a product to win something. It's like buying a raffle ticket. That is like a lottery, and that is where it, violates policy. You can run giveaways without having a paid entry fee or any sort of cost associated. Does that kind of clarify your concern?
Yeah, that does clarify. What I was actually asking is if I were to mention the cost of the product, like the example that you gave is roofing. So let's just say win a free roof for worth $20,000. So you're giving something, but you're just telling the customer or in the copy itself that you're going to win something worth $20,000. Is there restrictions around that?
Yes. So what you have to say is that that's the assessed value of what is being given away. You cannot tie a direct price tag to it. So that's why, as far as everything that's included and that's broken down, there's a price associated with each thing, so that you can come to some end conclusion figure whenever at the end of it says you're actually winning a giant value, and this is what each piece is worth. I mean, it's pretty much every offer that people will run for coaching or ebooks, courses, that type of shit. You know, it's like, oh, you're getting 97% off. Here's all of what I'm giving you and all of what it's worth, even if it's not. You know what I mean? So whenever it comes to like a physical product or service that goes to an end consumer, again, that is a physical either experience or product, it's a lot easier to qualify and quantify what that true value is because there's something tangible there that you can walk into. Like, say, for instance, someone pressure washing my house or something like that. You know, I know that's worth their time, albeit it's not something that I get to hold and touch. They're spending their time, their energy here doing something for me, right? It's expected that there's an exchange there.
All right, that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Does anybody else have any questions as it stands right now before we kind of move on to the next piece, which is like the systems and building trust?
Yes, I have one question.
Go ahead, Liam.
Are you just running like Facebook ads? Is that it?
For this offer, for a lot of the giveaway stuff that we're doing, yeah, Facebook is the best. Doing giveaways on Google is kind of a waste of money, and doing it organically also works really well too on social channels, whether or not you have a sizable audience, right? Because giveaways, if one of the conditions of entry is sharing it or something like that, you stand a much more reasonable chance of getting a little bit of virality behind you and what it is that you're promoting. I think the problem is with TikTok, I'm not super familiar with it. I've ran TikTok ads a handful of times. I was actually invited to go to New York a couple weeks ago with Maxwell Finn, or Max Finn, if you guys know him on social media, to go to the TikTok HQ to kind of get a debrief on some of the changes and things that are coming and potentially become a TikTok partner. Unfortunately, I forgot about it and didn't go. But he's a good resource to lean on things TikTok. So if that's something of interest to you, Liam, I can go ahead and get that insight from him. But it's not something I have for at this time.
Oh, yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Of course. Anything else? Dalton, I can't hear you, unfortunately. I don't know if your mic switched or. I know I heard you before, and I think that you changed devices or something whenever you.
All right, here we go. Come on, you can hear
Perfect.
me now. So whenever you like run the lead form ad, obviously you want the lead form to be as simple as possible. That landing page that it goes to afterwards, I mean, is that a complex one, or is it pretty much just a form, very, very simple to
It's
the
a
point?
questionnaire with pictures on it, nothing too crazy. If you want, I'll go ahead and shoot you over the link. I am going to post this in advertising for beginners whenever the video is done downloading, and probably on YouTube too. That piece of it, I don't want to be public because that is kind of like what makes it special. However, for you guys for attending, I'm more than happy to show you guys the landing page and stuff like that. Actually, you know what? I'll just pull it out and then I will blur it after the fact.
And then just for like for that back end for her to have all those leads, do you use like go high level things like that just to capture all of that information?
Yeah, we use Go High Level.
So I'm relatively new to that as well. So that's like even like that email marketing automation and shit like that. I know that that's what makes Go High Level, so powerful and the follow-ups.
Yeah, Go High Level is great. Personally, I'm more of a Klaviyo guy myself, but for building out these landing pages and stuff, it is far better done on Go High Level, transparently speaking.
Yeah.
That being said, take that with a grain of salt because, again, a lot of my hands-on experiences with Klaviyo, we're Klaviyo marketing partners. That's definitely something we hang our hat on. As far as Go High Level, it's a little too cut and dry for me to do personally. My team is great at it, but it's not something I do.
Yeah.
So if you guys can see this, this is the landing page. Again, super simple, nothing overly complex about it. It's just a white background, some pictures every couple questions, them understanding that there's like actually a cost associated with this. Because what they're doing is they're getting the experience for free to go and have their pictures taken. They want to keep the pictures. These are the costs. You see here, 6,800, 5,800, 4,800, 3,800, 7,800, 5,900, 4,900, 3,900, 1,500, 3,400. I mean, like this is super high ticket shit, which the fact that so many more people don't understand that this is an industry is kind of crazy. Because like whenever we have our performance fees, right? That's a fucking boatload of money. So, super simple, nothing too crazy. At least as far as like design work or anything is concerned. Now, of course, these collages are pictures that were made, before they were put onto the landing pages, but it's not anything that like obviously would take a lot of time. You get the source images, you throw it in Canva, put some text, whatever, it's pretty quick. Does that all make sense?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So onto the trust side of things, right? So nurturing them once these people are in the ecosystem, what are we doing there? What are we doing to further monetize, right? So whenever they come in and they submit their information, about 30 to 48 hours after they submit, they get the congratulations, you won, based off of whether or not they've answered the questions in a way that would dictate that they are financially qualified, right? So like whenever they get to the bottom and say like, hey, look at the images above. This is our pricing menu. If you want more than just the experience, what would you want? Right. And then on the call, whenever they schedule it. So it's like automations like, hey, remember to book your call. It's, I think, a total of 11 messages between email and SMS if they're carrier verified, which I don't know if any of you, maybe aside from Dalton, have been using Go High Level. But there's this new annoying bullshit that we have to deal with, to put it frankly, that if you do not have a text message number verified, the A2P verification over the course of the last month or so, a lot of the policies changed with Twilio, the SMS provider that Go High Level uses. It has been a nightmare. We have a handful of people that can't get approved for whatever reason, even though there's no reason that they should be disapproved. I was with my buddy Jason, which I think some of you guys know, Jason Wojo. I was with him earlier today and asking him if he was having similar issues. He has 29 people who are yet to be approved for Twilio, even being a Go High Level marketing partner. So it's something that, our hands are tied. And if there was something we could do about it, we would. But, email's still pretty good. The problem is a lot of these photographers, and it doesn't matter if it's a photographer, it doesn't matter if it's a roofing company, it doesn't matter if it's a car dealer. Well, car dealership's probably less prone to this. But a lot of people are ending up in spam because of this newly high volume of leads that are coming in, right? So if this client, for instance, Becca, she has had about 1,800 leads over the course of the last 90 days. Each one of them is getting about 16, 20 automations over the course of a few days, right? So that volume of new messages going out is likely to mark their email domain as spam. So the more compliant that we can make the emails, having a dedicated sending domain, and making sure that we don't have any overtly spammy language in it allows this to work really, really well. We've had a couple photographers out of the 12.5 that we've been working with that have ran into this issue, and it has caused problems for like 4 or 5 weeks because it wasn't something that we fully expected to be this bad, right? And she, the one that you guys saw, is spending about the average for most photographers that we're working with in this industry right now. What I would say is that on the higher end, it's probably closer to like 4 or 5 grand a month, right? So they're doing, actually, let me see if I can pull up another example really quickly just to show you guys the difference. All right. All right, guys, it's taking a minute. My internet is being a little bit buggy. Alrighty. Go back. So this one in a different geography has spent $5,100 in the last 30 days. They are based in Northern California, like the San Francisco, Northern California area. And they have had this month 1,300 leads. So, bearing that in mind, if you're willing to spend the money to get the contact info, you can have an absolutely packed calendar for services. Same thing for products. The thing is, the nurture is going to be a little bit different based on the offer. So whenever we are trying to troubleshoot a lot of these problems, what we want to do is make sure that we know what problems there are likely to be as things continue to improve, right? So the ads on the front end are working. They're getting traffic. We are getting leads submitted on the back end. Their survey is saying that they're qualified leads, right? They are receiving the emails. They're booking the call. They're doing this. They're doing that. Each step of the way is going to have a new technical difficulty to overcome. So on the front end, if they are not getting leads to submit their information on the short form, the one that's on Facebook, targeting could be bad, could be too spend, whatever the case may be, right? If we see a drop off between there and the long form, which another automation we put in is like, hey, make sure that you go to continue your entry because it's not finalized yet, right? From there, that's a couple automations already. I think that's 4 emails, 2 text messages over the course of 72 hours, right? That translates to, okay, am I going to have an email deliverability issue? And the account that I just looked at was one of the people that had that problem. And they had that problem for a while. We had to actually move them away from, I forget what platform they were using before, Dubsado or something like that, and then move them to Go High Level so that they could actually stand a shot at not being in spam anymore using a new dedicated sending domain, right? If they're booking the calls and people aren't showing up, are there issues with the automations, right? These are things you can implement proactively to make sure that people actually are showing up to the calls. You're not wasting your money. Having their information and knowing that they're a qualified lead is half the battle. Knowing that they're a qualified lead and getting them on the phone or on Zoom or in person, different story, right? Because now people know that you're likely to proposition them, get them to spend money. And in times like now, where people are a little bit penny pinchy and don't want to spend money on things that aren't absolute necessities, there are still ways to convince them to do it. Remember, they showed interest in the giveaway. They are interested in what you have to offer. The question is at what price, right? So keeping that in mind, the last thing that we want to do is really focus on solidifying trust, okay? The trust component is super invaluable, and it's something that you're seeing people like Ravi Abuvala do. It's stuff that you're seeing Tanner Chidester do. It's stuff that I'm starting to do myself. And that is creating kind of like a get to know you phase between you and your prospective customers, the people that haven't transacted with you yet, in short form video, right? So a lot of people are doing this whole new YouTube funnel where they're putting up a handful of videos talking about, the problems they solve, who they are as a business, who they are in their background, da, 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 da. You get the idea, right? Just being transparent and educating, right? And for those of you that have known me for a long time, I have always said, I do not sell, I educate. If people want to buy after they are educated, that means I did a good job, right? Same principle, different medium. So YouTube, longer form, right? I could put reels up every day if I wanted to. I'd rather they be funny, personally, because people go on social media to decompress, to kind of see something different than whatever their work is or whatever, right? Entrepreneurs, different story, because work is their entire life, which I know for a lot of you is also the case. Or you're trying for that to be. Whenever you think of the things that you have to repeatedly, on a daily basis, reiterate to people and repeat yourself over and over and over again about what's your background, who are you, who do you work with, what problems do you want to solve, what is your track record, can anybody speak to the legitimacy of your track record? That stuff people can watch a video and find out, but they're not going to do it in a VSL. They're going to do it after they've already taken interest in doing business with you without knowing those things. Telling them those things is only going to either strengthen the relationship, or if it doesn't, their need isn't great enough, right? To where they want to go due diligence and see, what other people are in this space that can help me, right? If you think about agencies and how tainted this industry has become over the last 5 years, especially because of COVID, people bouncing from agency to agency to agency. Oh, I was burned by my last one. They spent money, didn't get the results I wanted. It was promises made but never kept, whatever, right? Because the pain is so sharp, things like Marketer Hire have come out, where it's a third-party employment agency for digital marketers that they vet and they approve. And people go to them to spend $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 a month on an in-house marketer. I think that all of us can agree getting a $5,000 a month retainer, a $10,000 a month retainer, a $15,000 a month retainer sounds fantastic, but now someone has the key to whether or not that happens easily because they've developed the wall and the moat around it in that barrier to entry. They've become the go-to or one of the go-tos in this industry because they can say, we vet our people with XYZ criteria, but no one who's actually buying this stuff knows till they get on the call. All they know is that, it's Marketer Hire trusted, right? It's like the whole sent with iPhone thing in Microsoft Outlook whenever it first came out. And that was the thing that really got the buzz because every time someone sent an email, It says at the bottom, sent with Microsoft Outlook. Same thing with like sent from iPhone. That's why the whole blue and green bullshit matters whenever you're texting people. Oh, I know they have an iPhone. It's a blue message. Maybe not an iPhone. Maybe they have an Apple product, even if it's a fucking iPad or an iPod Nano, right? Like it's all the same shit. It's all the same shit. It's all about identity. And when people feel connected in working relationships, think about it. If you were to work in a physical office building, you would have personal-ish relationships with the people there that wanted the personal-ish relationships. The people that didn't, all right, piss off. They're off doing their job. They're doing their thing. Maybe that's who they are and their personality. Maybe it's just they don't like you, right? At the end of the day, you have to deal with it and you act accordingly. So in instilling trust with your customers, before their customers, they are more likely to stay. You're going to have higher retention, meaning they're going to keep paying you over and over and over again. They're going to give you referrals and testimonials, which will lower your customer acquisition costs, increase your profits, and give you better cash flow as time goes on, provided that you maintain that trust. That is the key and single biggest point that I'm going to make. With shit like a giveaway offer and stuff like that, that stands the potential to be like, oh, this is scammy. They're just selling everybody. It can 100% be like that without a shadow of a doubt. The thing is, though, is how much effort are you putting into your infrastructure to make everybody that comes through your door know who you are, what you do well, and what people have had to say about you. That's why social proof is so important and never going away. It's why social presence is important and never going away. And it's also why people seeing your track record over time is the single most important thing these days, because they want to know that you have the case studies and you've been in business long enough to prove that you are someone that is worth staying in business. Does this all make sense? Awesome. So that's kind of the spiel, the three things right now that's absolutely changing the game in this industry. I have about 10 minutes before I got to go to this dinner. I want to let you guys do Q&A. I know you've asked questions along the way. If there's anything that was confusing, let me know. Jared, I know you got here a little bit into it. So if you want, we can recap it another time about it, or you can watch this recording whenever I have it. Anybody have a question? Not a single question. Go ahead, Will.
So I'm from Dubai. I'm currently I'm working here, and I'm working full time, and I'm doing marketing on the side as a freelancer. So currently I have a client who sells Nigerian African style clothing, and she does pop-ups. She has a shop here, and she also does pop-ups in the UK and in the US. So specifically in the US, she's coming to Dallas. I think it's called Keller. The city is Keller. And she's gonna do a one-day pop-up event. So the campaign that I've set up for her is we're gonna do a lead form type of ad where people have to give their email in exchange for a catalog. So the lead magnet is a catalog of the products that are going to be available there at the one-day event. So what can I do to make sure that people actually show up there? And we don't want the pop-up to be, just like a sale, but actually something exclusive. So what can we do to make it sound more exclusive?
I would have that pop-up be by appointment only, is personally what I would recommend. The reason being is if you send them the catalog, they have interest in buying your products because they have interest in that product category, because they don't know what's in your catalog till they download. They just know that they are interested enough to want to download, right? So you have to think about what must be true in order for X outcome to happen. So in order for your ideal outcome to happen, and we'll work this backwards, this is one of the things that I do with any time someone comes in and wants help developing an offer. Just so you guys know, use this framework. If you want, don't. If you don't, up to you guys. But if your client wants to have a blowout day, they need to either have a really high AOV or a lot of customers, or ideally both, right? Which means they need to have the inventory to support it. And they also need to be able to understand what is their best sellers as of right now, so they can prepare and translate that here. Now, it is a different market. She's going to Texas to sell African clothing. I don't know if she's thought this through, to be fair.
Yeah, so it works with the community who is African there, and she's done this before, and it works really. We had a good time, but this time she wants to make it more exclusive, and she wants to sell out everything.
Okay. Does she have an existing customer list from the people she has sold to before?
Yes, she does.
Okay. I would use email and I would use Facebook ads. The first thing I would do, that email list that she has already of previous customers, I would say, hey, we're coming back to Texas. Here's the details. If you want to RSVP, this is going to be by appointment only. Use this link to book your, session, walkthrough, whatever, right? And then send them the catalog, right? You already know they have shopped with you before. They're likely to shop again. And because it's a limited time thing, they are far more primed to buy because the buying window is so small. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
All right. The
Thank-
next step, new customer acquisition. I would try and use that audience as a lookalike audience, or alternatively, if she has a social following on Instagram, Facebook, whatever, I would have her do a giveaway with those people, like a $250 gift card or shopping experience where you can come in, pick $250 free. All you need to do is like, share, follow, right? And the people who have interest in what she has to offer organically is going to disseminate from those who are the most interested in it. Those who are most interested are likely to be associated with more people who also have interest in that, or they will go ahead and send it to the people they know have an interest in it, right? So that's how you're going to kind of expand your organic audience and prime them for this offer, right? The third and final thing I would do is ads and say the same thing. Take that giveaway offer that you're using organically and then apply it to Facebook ads, just broad targeting, whether it be men, women, age range, whatever. I would leave it to the basics. I would focus on the demographics. And then from there, just let it ride. I would do like a week or two lead up, make sure that people are aware that that is happening. And I don't know what our budget is, but I would try and spend the budget in 7 days once you find the best audience targeting, whatever. It's not a lot of time to make optimizations, but it's enough time to get interest. So that's what I would do.
Perfect. Thank you for the answer.
Of course. Liam, it looks like you have a question.
I do. Per se, the giveaway. Would it be a good idea to like have like a or give like a per se like a discount coupon to the losers of the giveaway?
Someone's thinking. I like you, Liam. Very well done. Door prizes, consolations, and stuff like that is for sure something that is very, very worthwhile. Now, the only time that we do that is whenever it's still something that's higher ticket and we just do a giant discount. I wouldn't have it be any crazier. One of the flip side things that you can do, which Alex Hormozy talks about all the time, you can include more for less. If the industry isn't overly capital intensive, then I would go ahead and offer more for free, right? So if it's like details, right, they're super high margin with the exception of labor, right? Whenever it comes to giving away a free roof, different story. But at the end of the day, it's way cheaper because if you're the business, you're really only giving away the raw material cost. The labor you're going to pay for anyway, regardless if it's a paid job or not, right? So depending on what industry specifically it is, would dictate what I would give away a lot. But it's at the end of the day, it's at your discretion. I know that you're getting started into the entrepreneurship journey, so I wouldn't necessarily get too fixated on anything besides the framework. And if you want help, have any questions at all, obviously reach out to me. I'm more than happy to chat with you about it. But that's where I would start.
Perfect. Yeah, and I definitely have a ton of questions. Like I said, like I'm very keen on learning about all of this. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, I love to hear that. Who else has questions?
Yeah, I got like just kind of a specific question. I just in thinking about one of my clients I have right now. So they're like a really higher end landscaping business. They really only like to do business if it's like $10,000 plus or more. And so just thinking about like, your like the giveaway frame set or mindset, anything like that. Their budget still isn't really the biggest in the entire world. I guess you can call it penny pinchers, at the end of the day or whatever. But like what would be like kind of the best way to go about it? Would you say like let's say the spend was, 500 a month or 750 a month? What would be like the best way to kind of go about like a local landscaping business like that, whose audience size is in the neighborhood, like 250,000, 200,000. It's not, a crazy amount by any means. It's relatively small, but I just, cause my cost per lead is relatively pretty freaking high for them.
What's your cost per lead?
My cost per lead usually ranges around that $30 mark, which I feel like is extremely high compared to everyone else I see. But I mean, we get a good ROI because anytime someone converts, I mean, they're getting,
Yeah.
$4,000 profit, $5,000 profit off of, any job.
Do they do maintenance landscaping or is it like total overhauls?
They do like water features, like whole new backyards, the whole nine. I mean, they're very boutique, very high level. Anything that's, $5,000 or less, they just give it to another local company and they're like, you deal with it. They only like to do the big end shit.
This might sound absolutely stupid, borderline retarded, but I will tell you. I would tell them to give away a yard worth X amount of dollars and use that as the giveaway. No one has to win. Obviously, it's not the most honest way to do it. It's not something that I would necessarily recommend or do for one of my own clients. But if it's something where you're really wanting to drop that cost per lead, what I would do is in the long form, after they submit name, phone number, email on Facebook, they go to the landing page, fill out the rest of the questionnaire. I would have them say like, hey, we're giving away this up to a certain dollar value. If your project comes in over, will you be financing or paying cash for the balance?
The difference in it.
Because if they say that they would pay cash, they're probably a good buyer. If they are financing, they're probably like most people right now, but that doesn't mean they're disqualified.
Yeah, no, it makes total sense.
Okay, cool. I got time for one more question. I don't know if anybody wants to ask one. Is there anything else I can address before we wrap up here today, guys?
I had one thing.
Sure.
Let's say like there's like a certain business with a one-of-one kind of thing, like circus tent rentals. My dad owns a circus tent rental business, and we've had a few rentals, but it costs a lot to put it up.
Oh
And
yeah.
we've only like had a few, and how would I try to market this more so it would be more out there?
Let me ask you this. Is it for actual circuses or is it just like giant field um like tents used at like croquet events or like big outdoor shit?
Big outdoor stuff. Big outdoor stuff.
That's definitely a tougher one. Wasn't expecting you to say circus tent rental. So if I've ever been stymied, this is what it looks like. If I were you, I would lean a lot on your existing book of business. And if you can't, what I would, so I would like put together an affiliate or referral program, right? It's a lot of money to put up the tents, but I would say like, hey, if you refer anybody that needs this for multiple days at a time, right? So that way it's not up and down in one day.
Yes.
Then I would give them a nice fat cut of whatever that is to get the relationship. And provided that they do this event every year, provided that they do it quarterly, provided that they know other people, this is one of those slow burn expansions. The flip side of that is think outside the box. I would go to your local municipal governments because I guarantee you that they have municipal sponsored events, whether it be like carnivals around the holidays or that type of stuff. I would go to churches. I would go to any local sporting event that gets hosted. Look at the sponsors, look at who's organizing it, and reach out to them. I really truly think that this is a market that is best done with cold outreach or automated cold outreach. If you want to do like email blasts, stuff like that. The thing is that the volume is going to be low because there's only so many municipal government emails and shit like that. But bearing that in mind, there is definitely growth potential. I just don't think personally ads are the thing to do, at least not Facebook. I would say maybe Google, but I would really only do it to retarget. I wouldn't necessarily do it for cold unless you know that there's a big enough market or if you're willing to target way outside your geography.
Yeah, perfect. So just more kind of cold calling like these municipal and churches and sponsorship programs.
Yeah, that's what I would do. And if you ever have more questions about this too, or want some more clarity or want to kick around more ideas, let me know. I'm more than happy to spend the time to do it.
Yes, sir.
But as far as like rough, quick and dirty plan, that's exactly what I personally.
Perfect on that.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate all you guys for spending about an hour with me this afternoon. It means the world, and going to get this up on YouTube and in the Skool community. If you guys aren't in the Skool community already, it is $97 a month. However, for showing up to today's call, I'm more than happy to get you in there for free. So if you're not, let me know and I can get you added. And until next time, my friends, I hope you all have a blessed afternoon and a great weekend.
You as well. Thank you so much.
Thanks for your time, guys. Take
Yeah.
care.